Hello, Brent Porcio, TopVelocity.net, and congratulations. We hit part 3 of the 3-part series to up to 5 miles per hour in 30 days or less. So once again, you've experienced some new results. Your eyes are getting bigger, you're getting more excited. You're like, finally, I've found it. Finally, I'm going down the right road to reaching my top velocity. Well, I was just like you, and I'll never forget that day. I was playing in a league out in California, and I had been sitting at mid-80s, I swear it felt like for the last 5 years. And then one day, the light just went on. It was the moment or the month I had understood how triple extension implemented and enhanced hip-to-shoulder separation, and also my training was reaching its peak. So it was kind of a pinnacle moment in my career. I was discovering all these pitching mechanics of high-velocity pitchers. At the same time, I was developing the athleticism to be able to implement them. And then, boom, it was like overnight. I'm playing in this league, and everyone's coming up to me because I'm striking them out and saying, you don't need to be here. You need to go and play some pro ball. You're wasting your career here. So I took their advice, and I went down to Cal State Fullerton, and I tried out for Scouting Bureau Major League Tryout Camp. And there was about 100 and something guys there, maybe more. And I was definitely the oldest guy there. So they put me at the end of the line. I had to sit around the majority of the day just to get a chance to throw a few pitches. And the hardest thrower of the day was 92 miles an hour, and he was some invite that they were all fawning over. And here comes this 26-year-old after they're about to turn the lights off, or not turn the lights off, they're about to move on to the next part of the day. And I'm running out on the field, hey, what about me? I've sat here the whole time. It's my turn now. They're like, oh, what's your name? Brent Porcio. Well, get up there, son. And I got up there. It probably helped. I was a little pissed off at that point. And I just unleashed hell. I could feel that force vector slamming down. I could feel all that power I had developed coming through my triple extension. And I could feel it converting into hip-to-shoulder separation, which we'll talk about today. And I'll never forget it, because the scout behind the cage was holding up my numbers. And all day I had watched 86, 87, 88. I wasn't there when the guys were hitting 91, 92, so I didn't know what this meant. I'd been seeing these big numbers all day. So they started going like this and going like this, and I'm thinking 81, 82, oh my God. And then they start shaking it. 93 is what I'm throwing, 93. And then 4, and then they go, all right, that's enough, son. Come up, and they run up to me. And the scout for the Twins looks at me and goes, Brent, have you ever thrown 94 miles per hour before? And I said, no, and there's no way I'm throwing it now. That's incredible. That's unbelievable. And they said, no, you're throwing 94 miles per hour. And it was amazing. It changed my career. That's when all my doors just opened up. And it's something that you more than likely are waiting to experience. And I'm telling you, it's here in these tools that I'm giving you. They worked for me. They've worked for countless other guys that I've worked with. They're also working with some top-level D1s that I consult for. It's a powerful program, guys. It works incredibly well, and it's something that I'm giving to you right now for free. Now, there's a lot more to it than what you see. There's a lot more to it. There's a lot of detail to it. Specifically, the training programs, putting all these drills and these lifts together strategically so we don't waste a lot of time and we don't exhaust ourselves and not build ourselves up effectively. It's critical, and that's what you're going to get in the 3X Pitching Velocity Program, which you can learn more about at TopVelocity.net. But what I've given you in this 3-part series is enough for you to really, really see a significant jump of up to 5 miles per hour. All right, so we're going to finish with hip-to-shoulder separation. All right, so now we've gone, where have we gone? We've gone from lift to load to that linear force vector. And then from there, we learned how to then convert it into triple extension before front foot strike. Now, why do we have to triple extend before front foot strike? Because of one key case study that I read that showed me and proved to me that this had to happen. I couldn't understand how we would enhance hip-to-shoulder separation. The hip-to-shoulder separation is when your front foot lands, once your hips open, or the farthest they open, let's measure where your shoulders are. Because higher velocity guys, once their hips open, their shoulders are farther back. So that's what the MPH case study of 2005-2006 discovered. They discovered when you fired your hips open before your shoulders, you jumped up in velocity considerably. That's how they came out with that 80% statistic, that's where 80% of your potential was. Okay? So that's how we measure it. We also know that high velocity pitchers can get 40 to 60 degrees of separation. So if you drew a line between your left hip and your right hip, when your hips are the point they open all the way up, and then a line from your left shoulder to your right shoulder, and then measured the distances and degrees between those two lines, you would have your hip-to-shoulder separation. We measure that on the 3X pitching profiles, which you'll find on the forums. That hip-to-shoulder separation, if we can get 40 to 60 degrees, we put ourselves in a high-velocity category. You are over 90 miles per hour. Now, how does that work? It's really is math, guys, and it goes all the way to Newton's second law of motion. Acceleration equals mass, or force divided by mass. We found that with a 5-ounce baseball, if we can hold on to the ball 0.2 of a second longer, we've just increased our velocity by about 10%. That's a significant jump. So that extra time comes from you landing, hips open, and getting more hip-to-shoulder separation. Gives you more time to build more force. That's Newton's law, and that's how we increase velocity, because we're enhancing force and the time to generate that force through hip-to-shoulder separation. And how triple extension enhances that is the key. So this case study that I discovered proved that high-velocity pitchers open their hips the first 15% of the delivery from front foot strike to pitch release. So they took the delivery at front foot strike, once the front foot landed, to when he released the ball, the first 15%, around the first 15% of that movement, is where high velocity pitchers not only opened their hips, but their hip rotation speeds peaked. Low velocity pitchers were more back towards the 50-60% of that delivery, where their hips finally opened and their speeds peaked. So guys, this research was showing that high velocity pitchers, when they landed, their hips were open. And their hips were open farther than low velocity pitchers. And then that made sense. Wow, if I'm sitting here and my arm's here and I don't have any way to hold it back, how do I separate it from my hips? Because when my hips go, my arm's going to go with it. Well, that, like a rubber band, it's elasticity. I need to push my hips forward quickly, and that creates more separation. So the hip rotation speeds is the link to optimal hip-to-shoulder separation. So how do we create explosive hip rotation in front foot strike? We do that through triple extension, through explosive triple extension. Because what extending this back leg does as the front leg opens is it pushes the back hip around. Because if you are a stand tall and fall guy, boom, what did you just do? You just left your leg anchored to that mound. When that leg is anchored to that mound, that hip is anchored to that mound. So are you a high velocity guy? Are you a guy who's going to get his hips open just after front foot strike when your back hip is anchored to the mound? It's not going to happen. There's no way at that point you can then drive it around. A lot of coaches want to say we all land here and then we rotate our hips. Doesn't happen in high velocity guys. They are wrong. High velocity guys, just like the case study proved, they drive their hips through and they get them through at front foot strike. So how do we do that? We have to push and drive that hip through. And that's what triple extension does. It pushes and drives that hip through. Okay? So once we are able to time that effectively and generate enough power through triple extension like we worked on, and we can be timing our release just at, or our cock position right after it, we're going to create optimal hip to shoulder separation. Once we get that optimal hip to shoulder separation, and we can enhance it by getting more explosive through the hips, then we're going to start to get 20 degrees, 30 degrees, then we get in that 40 to 60 degrees, and we're in the high velocity category. I'll guarantee you most of you are either negative hip to shoulder separation to about 20%. You could double your hip to shoulder separation, and that's how you are going to significantly break into that high velocity category. And that's what ties it all together. If I'm just flying down this mound but not separating, it's a train wreck. It doesn't work, and that's why most coaches want to kick it out of the window. We don't drive down the mound. We don't move down the mound quickly. We lift and control it and move under control, because they don't know how it converts to hip to shoulder separation. But I just showed you. If we're linear and we open up just before front foot strike as we triple extend, then that's going to drive the hips open. If we're vertical and we triple extend, not going to work. If we open up and then try to triple extend, not going to happen. And it has to happen the same way I've shown you through this three-part series. There's no other way it's going to happen, and that is what we call 3X pitching. Those steps, and of course a million other components that help us do it, and a million other drills, exercises, and lifts that help us do it, is 3X pitching. So you have a pretty powerful gun now. I've just given you a rocket launcher now to move through your stride. You've been moving through your stride with the slingshot. I've just given you a rocket launcher. Watch what happens to your career from here on out, guys. This is groundbreaking. This is revolutionary. This is why I'm excited, why every top velocity member is excited about 3X pitching, is because how these components turn us into a high velocity pitcher, because that's what separates you. High velocity pitchers, guys, just do what I've shown you better than you. And once you work hard enough to do this, just like them, you will be just like them. And unfortunately, up to this point, you've been in your career without knowing this. You've been beating your head against your wall, chasing your tail, wasting your time doing drills and exercises that do not train and teach you how to implement these high velocity pitching mechanics. So now you have it. So I'm going to give you some drills to help you with hip to shoulder separation. This is called my full stride crossovers. You're going to get in a full stride on the mound or off in an opposite linear direction. Feet straight, opposite. My right foot's out, and normally my left foot's out. From here, you're going to take the ball in front of your face. You're going to rotate your shoulders closed as far as you can and line up your glove side, and then throw. Boom. Sorry, I'm not fresh, so my arm's not ready to go right now. But you can see how the drill works. Full stride, rotate all the way closed into the cock position in a full stride, and then tuck and throw. So you're actually over and exaggerating that hip to shoulder separation. So it makes it really difficult to do, which is good. So we just separate it and throw. Boom. Okay? That would be the first drill. Nice and easy. 45 feet is all you need, guys. And rep it out a couple hundred times if you can. You don't have to throw hard, just feel it. After you do that, you have to do a couple hundred times. A couple hundred times over a couple of days, not all at once. Then go in your regular stride position, feet straight, shoulders closed. I want you to do that drill you did on the last video. Lift and triple extend before you land. And right after you do that, I want you to feel your hips slam open, your shoulders separate, then you throw. So you should feel that hip shoulder separation. And don't hop, don't go too vertical, go right off the ground. Okay? Here we go. I'm not worried about distances. 45 feet's fine. Push it back to 60 when you're good at it. The key is moving correctly, not how far you're throwing. Now, yes, intensity is important. I'm going through this in slow motion because I'm a coach showing you how to do this. Ultimately, I need to step up like a player and go through it in fast motion. Speed is important. This is a ballistic movement. For us to really create the optimal hip to shoulder separation, it has to come through an explosive movement. So when you really want to start getting good at it and really feeling it to where it's enhancing your hip to shoulder separation, we got to start picking up our intensity. But we can do that at 45 feet. The goal here is to enhance the hip to shoulder separation. So get video, film yourself, and start measuring your hip to shoulder separation. And that's your goal. Let's see how much we can enhance it through triple extension. Now, when you want to put it all together, that's when it's just time to get onto the mound, go through the stretch, lift to load, triple extend before front foot strike, separate, throw. You can do it all together. Okay? You just put it all together. Some exercises and lifts that help hip to shoulder separation is going to be anything rotational. All your rotational med ball throws, any overhead throws. Ultimately, the stretch shortening cycle is going to help, or we're going to be able to get better at that, which is key to what we use in hip to shoulder separation, by us doing all these rotational med ball throws. So those are key exercises for hip to shoulder separation. Now, as far as the lifts, any of the explosive lifts are going to help because that's going to help the power in the front foot. Now, there's one thing that's not covered in this video. I'm going to make it a bonus. It's when our front foot lands, it has to stabilize. All right? There's more to it than that, but I just want you to know if you don't stabilize a front foot strike, you'll actually be working against yourself. So that's the hard thing. As we move more explosive, we start to lose more stabilization. That stabilization allows all this to torque or convert into torque and go. So if we lose it, we work against ourselves. But to learn more, guys, there's a plethora of this information on topvelocity.net. The 3X Pitching Velocity programs holds all of it. It's a very powerful program. We've taken guys 10, 15, 20 miles per hour up from when they came into the program. So check that out. If you have any questions about this 3-part series, any questions about 3X pitching, go to the forums or give me a call. I put my number on the site. Also, I'm on the forums every day. I'm here to help you guys because what gets me fired up now is when I see your success, when I hear about you in the paper, when you sign with some top-level D1 or you get drafted in professional baseball. So I want to help you. So if you need anything, I'm here for you. Give me a call. I appreciate you guys following this and watching these 3 videos, and I hope you got everything out of it you expected. Thank you for being a part of the Top Velocity community, and I hope I can keep helping you more. So I'm going to keep sending you more stuff. If you want it, let them come. If not, you can unsubscribe, but I'm going to do the best I can to help you reach your velocity goals.